It's been almost 2 years since I posted my team ranking video, and you guys seem to really like that video, and again, that was even before BFDIA came out, so with that and all the new TPOT episodes and the new TPOT teams, I thought it'd be appropriate to make another team ranking video. So, my last place team is the S. I think the S is honestly just not a very good team, not very good storylines. Most of the characters are pretty unimportant except for Winter, and Winter and Clock storyline is really the only main storyline that goes on with this team, and it's pretty bad and I don't really like it. And most of the characters are pretty forgettable, like Rocky and Ice Cube, and the only bright spots on this team really are Winter to an extent, but I also am not that huge of a Winter fan, and Yellowface and Bottle, but Bottle lacked a lot of screen time during this era of Teapot, so it really wasn't a huge highlight for this team. In 23rd place, I have Just Not, and the only reason I have this team above the S is because I feel like Pillow definitely carries this team. Did Pillow's character get worse over time? Yes, but when it was like more like raw and new, Pillow's character was still very funny, and it was still entertaining to see the team, but it was really only because of Pillow and what Pillow would do to her team. And I also like Nickel too. I thought Nickel was a good character, but again, everyone else on this team was pretty boring, and I wasn't super interested in. I sure like Book and Price Tag were fine characters, but again, wasn't super interesting and didn't have any plot lines for this team at all. In 22nd, I have Free Food. And again, this team just wasn't very interesting. I think Marker, Foley, and Stapy's trio friendship would have been an interesting plotline to explore if they explored it maybe more than one episode, and then Stapy getting eliminated. Actually, I do like Stapy. I think Stapy is an underrated character and overhated character. And I like Fries, but characters like Puffball never got any screen time, and Belle was a decent character during BFB pre-split, I guess. Again, it wasn't like a terrible team, like it wasn't a team where it's like, oh my god, get them off my screen, or they're just so unbelievably boring like the S or Just Not, but just still didn't have anything interesting going on around their team. In 21st, I have Team 8, and on paper, this team should be really good, but it is just not at all. Donut is the only character left from this team that is really sad. This team was definitely wasted potential. This team had no interesting storylines literally at all, and maybe they didn't want to put too much focus on this team since characters like Coiny and Pin were already doing so much in BFDIA, but again, it's like this team really did nothing. Like, it wasn't even like, oh, when they're on screen, they're boring. They never got screen time. Like, they were obviously the least shown team, and they just got no development throughout of this, like, team. And the only characters that got actual development were Pin and Donut, and that was after they had left the team. But again, Pin didn't even get that much development. It's really only been Donut, and it's kind of just been his character benefiting off of other characters from Cloud Yay. 20th, I have a better name than that, and in early BFB, this actually was a somewhat decent team. I thought the dynamic between 8-Ball and Golf Ball was actually pretty funny, but other than that, this team really did nothing, and none of the characters were super interesting this season, except for Golf Ball and Tennis Ball had some good moments, but characters like TV and Basketball really didn't do a whole lot. Blocky was also pretty good pre-split too, so I do like Blocky. But again, like, this team as a whole just didn't really mesh well together, and I felt like there was lacking a lot of chemistry within the team. 19th, I have Team 2, and also this team just hasn't really been super intriguing. They didn't get any debuters, and really the only characters I like on this team are Grassy and Snowball. I thought their dynamic was super good, and I think Grassy's a really overhated character, and I feel like their characters bounced off of each other really well. But now with Snowball's elimination, it's going to make this team a lot less rootable in a way. I like Book, I like Price Tag, but it's just like, I don't know, I just don't really care for them that much. They're not super, like, I'm not big fans of them. They're not super interesting characters to me. 18th, I have the Musical Note team. I don't really know how else to say it, but I feel like all of the interesting characters with good plot lines like Needle and Basketball kind of just got eliminated insanely early from this team. This team got pretty boring, but then Light came into the game and started being cool with Pen, and I thought that's a pretty good storyline, and I do like where it's going, but this last episode kind of makes my opinion switch a little on Light, and maybe she shouldn't have joined Teapot because she kind of just feels like a pencil ripoff at this point. But I will say, though, the reason why I did put them over Team 2 is because I feel like this team is definitely improving, and I do like Lai and Penn's friendship. However, I feel like they explored more with Lai's character, but just not in the way they are in Teapot 19. 17th, I have the Losers, and again, kind of the same thing with Team 8. Just seems like a really good team on paper, and honestly, it was a really good team in the beginning of BFB. I think Loser was a great character during this time, and I feel like added a lot of entertainment during this sort of stint with the show, and I liked Coiny and Eggy and Clock. I feel like those new characters on that team fit really well. But then later, within the pre-split, they just kind of stopped getting less and less screen time, and they just kind of became more and more of a boring team. And then it kind of led into Teapot with the teammates thing and then kind of dwindling. And it kind of just feels like it's the same thing, like the losers, but like a little more improved, I guess. 16th, I have Team Beep, and I know this is kind of high for Beep because they weren't really a good team, but because of how many times they were up for elimination, they ended up getting a lot more screen time than the other teams, and I really liked Cloudy and Balloony, and I really liked the stupid characters like David and Roboti, and I thought they were cool, and that was when Woody also started to get more personality, so I thought Woody was cool, and I thought they just started expanding more on different characters, and that team just didn't have like that BFDI Season 1 character that had got a bunch of screen time except for Leafy, but then when Leafy got eliminated, it was interesting to see more characters being explored that hadn't really been explored before, and I feel like Team Beep definitely exceeded that. And 15th, I have Are You Okay? And this team is actually really good, and I feel like it's a really underrated team as well. I feel like the connections that Puffball had on this team with Fries and then Golfball ended up being some of the best parts of the early Teapot phase of the show, and it's so sad that Puffball got eliminated so early because she had so much potential as a character to go forward in Teapot, and she was easily one of the best characters in Teapot. And then after Fry's elimination, it was kind of inevitable for her elimination as well, but again, this team was still very fun to watch, just how they did in challenges and all that, and just all of Puffball's interactions with Golfball and Fries was just very entertaining for kind of a mediocre phase of Teapot. 14th, I have Team Ice Cube. I feel like this had some of the best pre-split BFB characters like Barf Bag, Donut, Spongy, Gelatin, Bracelety. I mean, there wasn't a much going on with this team in a story sense or like sort of like a dramatic sense, but every time this team was on screen, it was super funny. The characters worked super well together, and I just wish this team got more time to shine in BFB pre-split because it definitely was one of the better ones. 13th, I have IANTS, and I know a lot of people have their issues with this team, and I completely understand, but from my perspective, this team actually brought a lot of entertainment and drama to the show, which I feel like made more interesting and made for more interesting plots in certain challenges, and even beyond the challenges. I think obviously Pencil got ruined in this team, but she was barely around for that long, so it didn't really affect how I felt about the team. I really liked Flower and Fanny and Snowball and Ruby. Again, this team definitely had a lot of highlights, and I feel like people negatively have a bad connotation of this team because of Pencil and Match being derailed as characters, which is completely understandable. But from my perspective, I think the positives weigh out the negatives for this team, and was definitely one of the better teams of BFB pre-split. 12th, I have Team Bleh, and same reasons for Team Ice Cube basically, but I feel like this team just had more screen time and just better characters overall, like Taco, Lollipop, Dora, even characters like Saw I found interesting, Teardrop. This team was definitely super funny to watch, and Lollipop was my favorite character of BFB pre-split, basically by a long shot, so I'm definitely biased with this team. Also, definitely some insane chemistry for this team too. The team just felt so right together. I will say the abandonment stuff was kind of repetitive and did get annoying at times, but not to the extent I feel like other people talk about it. Like, people say it was like the worst part of BFB pre-split, which I can somewhat understand where they're coming from, but I just necessarily don't agree with that. 11th, I have the strongest team on Earth, and it's mainly because of 4 characters, and that is Robot Flower, Basketball, Grassy, and Snowball. And the Robot Flower and Basketball stuff is the most underrated arc of Teapot, and I've said this in multiple videos, but I feel like those are 2 very underrated and underappreciated characters, and I feel like they deserve way more love in the Teapot realm. One of my favorite arcs. And you guys already know how I feel about Grassy and Snowball based on what I talked about Team 2. Overall, super funny team. And even the interactions between Snowball and Basketball I think were really funny too in the beginning of Teapot. A lot of underrated and underappreciated characters on this team. And it's really sad that so many of them have been eliminated because I do think this was a really good team. Before we get into the top 10, if you guys have been liking this video so far, it would mean a lot to me if you guys could subscribe and hit the like button. And also, if you want to help me out financially to make this my full-time job, joining the membership would be greatly appreciated, and you would get shouted out at the end of every single video, and also get to pick up video ideas. At number 10, I'm going with the original Death Pack, and this might be controversial putting it below the 2 other Death Packs, but my main reason is because I feel like the other Death Packs had more screen time and more storylines, but again, this team was still very good, a great group of characters. I think all of them meshed super well together. Obviously, highlights of this team being Black Hole, Pen, Lai, Pillow. Like, again, Pillow really didn't get that much screen time, but she was still a funny character in BFB pre-split. Same thing with Bottle. Bottle didn't get a whole lot of screen time, but I feel like always was well whenever she was on the screen. I just feel like Death Pact really didn't get enough recognition in the pre-split, despite it being such a popular team in the pre-split, and completely understandably so. I wish it just got more screen time. And again, I know it was so much harder for the pre-split because the episodes were so much shorter and they came out every 2 weeks at first. So not like blaming the team for that, but that's just how it affects the rankings. But I mean, it's still the highest ranked pre-split team. So 9th, I have Death Pact yet again. Also great team with the original Death Pact again members, plus Robot Flower, Gady, and Pin. Some of my 3 favorite characters in TPOT. I feel like added such a cool element to this team and added a new perspective and new just figures to it that I feel like it needed. And I feel like a lot of characters bounced off of each other well, especially Pin and Tree. I wish more was done with Gady and Robot Flower, but I feel like they were definitely still a good presence on the team, and overall just that group of characters are some of the best in TPOT, so that's why it's such a highly ranked team. I feel like they're all just really good characters. 8th, I have Team No Name, and this is kind of a tricky one to rank because of how many times it's disbanded. I mean, technically, like, the core of this team is Tennis Ball and Golf Ball, but I mean, just going from episode 1 and on, I feel like the team is always pretty fun to watch, especially when it really gets down to the wire, like in BFDIA 5. And then when it's the core of it's kind of like Fries, Golf Ball, Tennis Ball, Gelatin, Fiery. I feel like that 5 works really well together. Some of the best characters in BFDIA, and how they switch over to a different team to get the Yo-Yo Light and doing all bunch of this other stuff. How Fries interact with each other. Obviously, Fiery and Gelatin's friendship, Golf Ball and Tennis Ball's friendship. There's just so many different dynamics going around in this team, and I feel like it works to its benefit. And the way they all break out from each other, starting with the Free Smart, I feel like also shows a lot about this team. That makes it so much more fun to watch because there's so many different things happening at once, but it doesn't feel like too much. It's still very entertaining and you're thankful for it. 7th, I have Cloudgate, and I feel like it's definitely just been the best team since the merger, I guess, or like the split of the teams. And despite how long it's going to last, no matter how long it lasts, I guess, the more it's on the screen, the better it's going to get, and the higher it's going to get my ranking is kind of what I'm getting at. I mean, the characters in this team are amazing. Donut, Golf Ball, Pencil. I mean, those are clearly some of the best characters in TPOT right now. Even some of the eliminated characters like Yellowface and Pillow were also some of my favorite characters this season. And honestly, the only character I don't really care for that much is Loser. And honestly, I like Loser, but I feel like just because they're on this team, that kind of makes their character, I guess, less likable. Not even less likable, I don't even know, but I feel like this team just works out so well. And the way Winner also has different dynamics with different teams now too, I feel like also makes this team as itself more interesting, and the conflict between Winner and Pencil. Overall, great team, and it has been easily the best team after the last couple TPOT episodes. Number 6, I have the Squashy Graves, and I think on my last video this was number 1, but after I rewatched every single episode, I also ranked every single episode after I did that, so go check that video out if you want to watch it. But I feel like I kind of came to the realization that Squashy Graves has a great assemblance of characters, and the team is definitely legendary in its own respect. But it's like it doesn't really get that much screen time compared to the other teams, even after the 3 teams happen. I feel like the Squashy Graves just don't really get that much recognition. Is it still a great team? Obviously, it's my 6th favorite team out of 25. But again, I feel like it just didn't get that much recognition. Kind of got overshadowed by other teams because they were barely ever up for elimination. But again, great team. I love characters like Golf Ball and Snowball and Coiny and Leafy. So many great iconic characters. Great team overall. 5th, I have Death Pact again, and people might say this is way too high, but I feel like the assemblance of characters is literally perfection. From Lightning, Black Hole, Fanny, Marker. I mean, this team is just incredible. All the storylines that happen within this team, I love. I mean, all my favorite characters in TPOT right now are like literally from this team that are still in, like Marker, Tree, Black Hole, and Fanny. They're not my top 4, I guess, but they're definitely in like the top 8. Just so many great characters, so much great character development within this team, so many great plot lines within this team. I feel like it was just written so well, and it's sad how many times this team got put up for elimination too, because I feel like they were constantly getting put up for elimination, but so much writing was going into these characters, and I really hope those 4 make it far. I mean, they're up for elimination this episode again, which really sucks, but I think Tree, Fanny, and Black Hole are easily top 5 characters in TPOT right now, but I still like Marker too, so I feel like this team is just amazing. Number 4 is Free Smart. I mean, again, talk about being an iconic team. I mean, this team is amazing. BFDIA 5 is definitely one of my greatest memories of BFDI ever. I mean, such an elite like series of episodes and parts, I guess. And the Free Smart is definitely the biggest reason for that. I think Pencil, Bubble, Ruby, Match, Book, and Ice Cube all elevate it so much. And then when even Bubble and Match get sent back, this team still does super well in BFDIA. Pencil is one of my favorite characters of all time, definitely contributes to that. I think Book is really good in BFDIA to an extent. I know I've had my issues with Book in the past. I made videos about Book, and some people really don't like that video. But again, I can still admit I like Book. It just, compared to other characters that were still left in the game, I felt iffy about Book. Ruby, also fantastic character. Fantastic character. I love Ruby. Underrated character. Ice Cube, you know, is alright. But I think those three characters really carry this team for me and just make their team such a fun and rootable team to watch. And it's just, I don't know, it's just something about this team, like, they just, again, talking about chemistry, I've talked about chemistry a lot. This team easily has the most chemistry, like, easily, and I feel like that's what makes it so entertaining, and the humor work well, and the drama work well, too. 3 is the Squishy Cherries for me. Again, a super iconic team. I've kind of come to the realization that they're better than the Squashy Grapes because they just got more screen time, more characters I like. Again, chemistry on this team was amazing between the alliance with Bubble, Match, and Pencil, and then Eraser, Blocky, and Pen. Definitely the main highlights of the season. Loving all those characters interact. Thought they were really funny. And I don't know, even though it's so old and it like isn't like quality wise the best, I can still watch those episodes to this day and still be entertained and still like it, even compared to the quality of the show now, which is just remarkable. And then also Fiery I really like too. And you know, Woody and Spongy like obviously aren't the greatest characters in the world by any means, but you know, they're still fun. And then also Pin, you know, Pin is a funny character. I like Pin. Despite her really early elimination, I feel like she definitely made an impact on the season. Overall, really good team. Number 2, I have Wobunch. Great team. I think, again, the way the characters can bounce off of each other from the beginning with when it's just Donut, Pin, and Corny, and saying how much they rise and how much they fall, and Corny and Pin always sticking together, I feel like is a very sort of poetic way in how they go against each other, and Corny like has to sabotage Pin to get her eliminated. Just the way the whole team ended, I think, was really cool. And then also the other characters on the team I really like Yellowface, even Spongy. I like Spongy on Wobunch. Bommy, Nickel, Needle. Overall, like, just super good teammates, and I think the origin of the team is also really awesome too. I mean, Donut is a Wobuncher. I think he was really good in the 2 episodes he was in, and yeah. And number 1 is Team Another Name, and I don't care what anyone says. I don't care that they were only in like 2 episodes. This sort of segment of BFDI is peak BFDI Season 1. Some of my favorite episodes ever, some of the best memories ever for me in this whole entire series, and it is because of this 3 split sort of teams. And Another Name is incredible. I mean, Rocky, Golf Ball, Tennis Ball, Fiery, and Corny, just how chaotic that team is makes it so funny to watch, so fun to watch. It's some of the funniest BFDI ever, and they bounce off of each other so perfectly well. I mean, I don't even think this sort of writing could be duplicated. Again, not saying like they've lost skills as writers or anything, but I don't know, just this sort of spark, like just this sort of, I don't even know what it is about this team, but it's just something that I don't think can be done ever again. And it's so sad it only lasted that long. But again, it is the perfect team in BFDI. I've never seen a team I've liked or rooted for or found more enjoyment watching more. So anyways, I hope you guys liked that video, and comment down below what you want me to do in these next couple of videos. Subscribe, like, join my membership. And also I realized I forgot to do the half costs and the have nots, but they're at the bottom because BFB post split sucks.